Okay guys, what we're fixing is a LG microwave, and the model is LMC2075ST. And the problem is the door latch no longer works. This is the symptom. The problem is this door latch, you see, is bending out. It's not supposed to. It's supposed to hinge on the right edge. In fact, if you hold it in with your thumb on the right edge, you can still get the door to open. But that's not something you want to do every day. So what actually went wrong, come on over here, is one of these two, get right over it, one of these two hinge elements broke off. In my case, it's the top one. And there's the broken part. And you can see the circular piece on it, which is part of the hinge, how the hinge action works. And so then you have to buy, unfortunately, you have to buy this entire panel. And it costs about $130 for the OEM part. Now also, unfortunately, on the latch handle itself, another part broke. You see these tabs that keep the latch handle from pulling away from the machine too far. One of the ends of the tabs broke off. Cut. Okay, the way to fix it, of course, you have to remove the top. And there's 6 screws on it. There are Torx T20 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Plus, there's a Phillips screw on the side, right there. And then the other thing you need to know is they've actually used tamper-resistant Torx screws, which have a little stud in the center of the Torx area. But I was able to get them off with a good sharp T20 Torx bit and coming in at a slight angle. And I was still able to get all 6 of them off. Okay, I've got the screws off. You can see the edges are loose on both sides. And what I'll do is grab the edge. I'll just kind of grip it and pull it backwards. It kind of comes up at an angle like that. And then I'll move my grip a little further forward and start to wiggle. Maybe I'll grab the leading edge here and I'll just keep wiggling. It's a friction fit, and I'll just keep wiggling and get this out. And then it will remove the top edge as well. There we go. It's a little bit of a tight fit. In fact, I want to show you guys that fit so that when you're reassembling, it doesn't give you a lot of trouble. You see these edges here? They're like an envelope, a folded over edge. They slide into these edges here, and including along the side. And I just want to point out that, let's come back to these folded over envelopes. And this little gap sometimes isn't always consistent. So you may have to open it up a little bit with a kind of a putty knife. And it doesn't take much force, so you don't want to overdo it. And just be aware of that when it's time to reassemble, because it's a little challenging to get the cover back on. Okay, in order to replace the control panel, you have to remove the circuit board. That part is saved. And that circuit board is attached to the control panel with 3 screws, 1, 2, 3. And you can see them in here, 1, 2, and for whatever reason, the third one was left out. So we'll just use 2 screws. Okay, I've got the 3 screws out. And I want to point out that the circuit card is held in. It's just slid into these 2 narrow slots at the top. And then there's also a tab over here that needs to be flexed backwards. So let's take it out. Out she comes. And then, in order to be fully detached, there's an electrical connection there. And I'll remove that. Okay, I've got the electrical connection off. And now the circuit card is free, so I'm going to just get it out of the way. And I don't need to move it out of the way much. Now let's move on to removing the control panel itself. It's actually only 1 screw that needs to be removed. And after that, the way the rest of it's held on is these 4 hooks. And 4. And so we're going to remove the screw and slide it up and away. Okay, and before removing the control panel, you also have to remove this lever arm, this white plastic thing, and it hinges at 2 points here and here. And I have to say it wasn't easy to get off, and I believe the smarter thing is to get the outer hinge off first. And so I had a long slotted screwdriver, and I flexed this guy outwards. I flexed him outwards while pushing on the white plastic piece inwards, and I got that hinge off. Okay, the last step in order to get the control panel off is you actually have to have the door open. And if you had the door open before, that's great. If you don't, it's not a big deal. You just reach in here right above the orange limit switch, and that little latch for the door you just lift up, and the door is open. And now the control panel comes up and away. Okay, the last step for disassembly is to remove the handle latch. And I know I said mine was broken, but I still need the spring in there. So there's the 2 tabs that hold it in place. That's these 2 guys. One of them's broken off, so I just need to flex. That's these 2 guys. Mm-hmm. One of them's broken off, so I just need to flex the bottom one. So, and I flex it back, and off comes the handle.
Show what you flexed.
This is the piece that I flexed back.
Okay.
Flexed upward. Okay, I drop my spring in place, and then I think it's smarter to first get the hinge in place, because that'll line up the position, and then the 2 tabs here can be just compressed into place since they'll already be in position. So let's line that up, and that's in. I pushed the other piece in. It dropped in pretty easily after the hinges were in first. And as I said before, it's this tab and this tab that had to drop in. And you also have to make sure that this guy clears and goes through this hole correctly. And that's it. Now I got my piece in place. Okay guys, we had trouble getting this lever bar in, and we realized the smart thing to do is to attach the lever bar to the control panel first. You would want to put the left hinge in, and then the right hinge has a little bit of a ramp and swings in and goes in fine. So now with the door open, I get the lever bar in above this limit switch here. I just drop it in above the limit switch and then just wiggle around a little bit till I get my 4 hooks in place, and down she goes. Okay, let's just make sure that assembly worked. We close the door, door opens great. Okay guys, I'm attaching the circuit card, and by the way, I'm holding the circuit card on the edge. In general, it's a good idea to not touch circuit cards with your fingers. And I have to attach this electrical lead. Okay guys, I'm reattaching this, and I realized that both ends of the terminal came off when I was taking the circuit card off. Apparently this end is just lightly glued to the circuit board inside the control panel. So now I'm going to get it off properly, like so. And I'm going to attach to the connector, like so. Now I've got it attached. So next, I slide the card up into these 2 tabs at the top, And then I slide, oops. Okay, now the card is slid into the top slots, and now it's got to get snapped behind this tab, so I'm going to flex him back a little bit. And he's in. Now I'll just put the screws in. Okay, now we're just reattaching the control panel with this screw. Nice, good fit. And then we're reattaching the circuit card with this screw. You know what? There. And this other screw in the lower right corner. Takes a little dexterity to not drop the screw. And then there's a third screw, which the manufacturer left off. So I'm just going to leave this as is. All right, we're putting the cover on. And as I said, you've got an envelope flange here that mates up with this edge at the top. And let's get that attached first. So we're coming in at a bit of an angle. And it's not an easy operation, but it's not terribly hard either. So, good, we got the top in. Now we're going to tip it at an angle, hold the edges in tight to the body of the microwave, and catch the folded over flange in its mating part. Looks like I have to go a little higher to catch this properly. There we go. I've got that edge in. Let's see if I can get this edge in.
Why are you doing it?
Okay, I'm having a little trouble getting this left edge on, and I see that this folded over flange is a little bit of a tight fit. I'm getting in with the putty knife, and I'm just gonna open it up just a hair, and let's see if we can get that guy to catch it where it belongs. There, I got it. Okay, I was having trouble on the left side, and you realize what you really need to do is get that folded over flange in at the very top, like that, and then keep pressing
Do it again.
the housing. It's in. Keep pressing the housing against the body so you catch that edge, and now she's in. Now I've got both sides in, and I've got the top in, and all I have to do is attach the screws. All right, we're going to attach the last few screws. I'm going to do this easy one on the side, this Phillips head, like so. That's in. And again, these tamper-proof ones aren't easy, but I'm going to get them in as best I can in those last few screws. Now these, you just have to get them on tight enough so they don't fall off. Again, some of the easy ones first. They don't have to be perfectly tight. I'm just working my way down, flex that over. Again, I get the torque bit at a slight angle. It's my way of dealing with the tamper-proof screws. Don't know why they have that. It's binding pretty well. So is that. That's good enough. Bound it pretty well. Last one. And again, I gotta flex this guy over to get him in. Now I got him in. Torque him up. And we're done.
Oh.
Now the final test. I've got a cup of water in there. 15 seconds. Heating it up. Get it started. Okay, ready to film?
Mm-hmm.
Stop. So we're gonna check, see if it got warm, and it did get warm. Everything's working great. So I just wanted to point out that I added this little note for everybody to force them to kind of push on the left side of the lever, because I think that produces less stress in the hinges, which failed, and also telling them to push slowly. So hopefully it'll last longer than the 3.5 years that it lasted us. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching.